Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in today's video we are going to look at a flashlight company that's brand new to me and brand new to the channel. This here is the Superfire GT60. This is a fairly substantial flashlight, good overall performance, and definitely a thrower. Not only is it a thrower, but it also has a nice wide beam. Generally speaking, I have used this at length. It's pretty good overall. I definitely have some thoughts about it in ways that it could be improved, but generally speaking, a very nice and quality flashlight. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to go through this in detail. I'm going to show you the things about it that I like, and I'm going to point out some of the things that I think could be improved, and then we're going to get it into some good practical field use and some deep wilderness beam shots. But with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you, and if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Superfire who did provide this for review. And so now, as we get into the Superfire GT60, taking a look at the overall packaging, you can notice for the most part this is branded in Chinese. This is a Chinese manufacturer, and I would call this flashlight on the budget side. Now the GT60 has a 10,000 lumen output, a general large capacity flashlight with an 8100 milliamp hour lithium ion battery. It's basically 3 rechargeable 18650 batteries. You can see here a very nice construction overall, nicely machined aluminum, good knurling, and a nice rear LED on top of this. Not only does this have a nice beam on the front, but you get a little LED on the back. Very useful. USB Type-C rechargeable. It does come with the USB Type-C cable. You can see here your little informational pamphlet and everything that you need to get this GT60 off and running. Now, I do not necessarily have all the outputs available. I know this is a 10,000 lumen output, and it does have multiple modes. This has low, medium, and high, as well as a strobe mode. You can see here, I am unthreading the rear cap. There is just a couple funny little things about this. I'm not sure. I pretty much think this ring was intended for manufacturing purposes. It really does not allow you to access the batteries. The batteries are internally installed. And you can see here as I actuate the outside of the head, this is how you get a wide flood or a zoom pattern. This does have one of those real square zoom LEDs. You'll see this in the beam shots later, but there's not too much you can do about it. This is definitely a performer. So again, this has a low, medium, and high mode, and the highest mode being 10,000 lumen output. Now here, as we get this into general functionality, you can see pressing through the modes, this is the low mode. So again, as I don't necessarily have all the details, you can see that you do go through the low, the medium, and the high, and the strobe. The first thing I'm going to point out, the strobe mode is built right into the programming of the main function. It's not like you have to double or triple press to get into that. I am not a big fan of that programming. I personally believe that the strobe mode should be standalone and it should fall outside of the primary programming. But that's just my personal opinion. As we look at this, I am picking up on a bit of a phenomenon. This does have a flicker, and it is quite obvious. I could see it a little bit with my naked eye, just a little bit, but it is extremely visible through the camera. And you can see I'm playing with the rear LED here. The rear LED definitely does not have any flicker. It's really the primary LED on the front of the flashlight. But here, as we take a look at it, I start to play with the frame rate of the camera, which really accentuates this. So I don't know if it's the actual LED, I don't know if it's the driver, I don't know if it's the circuitry, but there's definitely something about this that has a flicker. And using the same exact camera settings, you can see here up against a Nightcore flashlight, this is the TM9K versus the GT60, and you can see a clear difference between the two. So running them at the same time, you can see that the GT60, a definite flicker. That's something I think they should work out. But again, looking at the rear LED, no flicker to be had in this particular case. So it's really just the primary LED where I have a bit of an issue. I think they should work that out if possible. Again, this is a USB Type-C rechargeable flashlight. You can see the battery indicator on the rear of the flashlight. So generally speaking, what do I think of this? Well, let's get it into some good practical field use. I did have the ability to bring this on a deep wilderness adventure. Always great to have my flashlights out in the deep wilderness. I love this opportunity. So here you can see as I was out on a river using this in all the different modes, the low mode with that beam nice and wide, generally illuminating out in front of me. This is awesome for navigation. And keep in mind, again, I don't necessarily see that flicker with my naked eye, just really for the most part on camera, but zooming this out, even in the low mode, a good overall reach. You can see that square LED, but when you widen this out, just awesome. And then medium mode here, again, I don't know the exact outputs of these other modes, but beaming off into the distance, penetrating deep into the woods there, you can see right into the trees and really illuminating things well off into the distance. This does appear at the highest mode to have about 330 meters of throw, and you can see here in the high mode, really lighting things up. Beaming this in the foreground, nice and bright, but then zooming down, that real powerful beam way off into the distance and everything in between. This is definitely powerful with that 10,000 lumen output, but that square beam, not too much you can do about it. It doesn't bother me at all personally. I just like this overall performance. And then as I mentioned, that strobe mode right in the middle of the programming, but nothing much you can do about that. Taking a quick look at the rear LED, this is literally the perfect light for navigation. You don't necessarily need to be cranking on that big primary LED. You can use that rear LED real nice for general navigation. It is absolutely perfect. And even furthermore, turning the corner here, well, using this rear LED in my tent. Awesome to illuminate my general area. Just a nice, soft, and even beam. It's a perfect output. I don't have any real reporting in the documentation for the output here, but you can see a nice, soft, and even beam. So all right, guys, there you have it. A look at the Superfire GT60. Now, as you could see by the beam shots, definitely a good overall performer. With it not being on camera and just with the naked eye, it looks great. You can see maybe, if you're really paying attention, a little bit of that flicker. It really shows up on camera. So in my opinion, I do think higher quality LEDs would go a long way. Personally, for me, I would have no problem paying a little bit more money to upgrade the LEDs inside this particular unit, especially where you do want that performance, you want the throw, you also want to be able to sort of zoom it out and, you know, get that nice wide flood. So you definitely get that with this model. Now, in full disclosure, I did not run full run times, so I can't report on the actual run times, but as a general performance, general fit in the hand, overall quality of the construction, I can say I'm definitely happy with this GT60. And only a couple other minor and just funny little things. Keep in mind, this is a Chinese manufacturer, Chinese brand, and with that sometimes lost a little bit in translation. This does say Superfire, and the box says Superfire. Now, I have seen images and different pictures on their sort of website and social media where this now says Superfire. So I wonder if this was, you know, an earlier version, maybe a demo version that came to me. Obviously, you can see it does have some, you know, Chinese markings and writing, and then especially on the packaging, completely in Chinese. Inside, the actual instructions were fairly generic and really strike across a number of different models, not just the GT60. So that seems to have been worked out in terms of the translation and the general features. And again, one other thing that's really important to me, working on that programming, I definitely do not like the specialty modes being right in that cycle. That needs to be standalone. You have to click on that completely separate, whatever, a double click or something along those lines. The fact that that strobe is right in the middle of the primary cycle, that definitely needs to be worked out. But all in all, a fairly capable light on a budget platform. I'd say that budget priced flashlight company. So I am curious to see more of their flashlights. I think they did a pretty nice job with the GT60 from a general overall features and capability. I think some room to be improved, but a good start from the people at Superfire. And so again, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Superfire for providing this for review. And for the rest of you, if you like this content, do me a favor, take a look at my Outer Limitless 2 channel, which is touches more on the tactical and firearm side of things. At this point, that channel is growing quickly, so if you like what you see here on Outer Limitless, do me a favor and check me out on Outer Limitless too. So alright guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.